Hey everybody, it's Zach Hurst with EV Resource, and I wanted to share with you a trip I just completed yesterday morning. I had to return the Arcimoto FUV after having it again on loan from the company for the Electric Vehicle Fall Festival, which was a week ago Sunday. And due to some scheduling conflicts and everything, I wasn't able to return it until yesterday. I have had it twice now, 2 weeks in February, so I picked it up in Arlington and drove it to Richmond. The first time I ever did that, it took me almost 10 hours because I didn't realize all of the nuances, the ins and outs about the vehicle. And so it took a lot longer because I was driving really fast and then I needed to spend a lot of time charging. Well, after returning it and then picking it up again, I guess it'll almost be 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, it took me 7.5 hours, and that was my best time to travel the 120-mile distance to get it from Arlington down to my house just south of Richmond. Well, I didn't want to take 7.5 hours returning it, so I decided that I would try to see if maybe I could make the entire distance on one charge. Honestly, I had my doubts when I started off. The Arcimoto FUV is rated at 102 miles of city range, so city speeds it should do 100 miles or so. And in the experience that I've had, at about 30 to 35 miles an hour, it will do 1 mile for every percent of state of charge on the battery. So if you figure 100 miles or so for 100% state of charge, I could do 100 miles at 30 or 35 miles an hour, give or take. I actually started off this trip going a lot slower than that. It was dark. I left at 4:50 in the morning because I wanted to make sure I had enough time that if I needed to charge, that I would be able to do that. So I want to share with you my trip. Of course, I took various recordings along the way. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right into that.
All right, I don't know how well this is showing my face, but it is 4:50 and I'm leaving to return the Arcimoto FUV. It is like 55 degrees or so, 57. So it's not super cold, but I brought the hood just in case the air is a little too cold for my liking. And yeah, I'm kind of sad that I'm giving it back again. Of course, that's what you do with a vehicle that's not yours. You give it back. So I have to. But I expect that the 114 miles that I am traveling today will take approximately 7 hours or so. So that'll get me up there just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if I'm doing my math right. No, 7 hours just before noon. Either way, 7 hours or so. My brain isn't turned on yet. I haven't had any caffeine. But maybe I'll be able to get up there in less time if I go slower, which I know sounds a little weird, but that's what it'll be.
Alright, well, you probably can't see me at all because it's so dark, but I have completed the first 10% of energy usage of the battery pack. I've gone 14 miles in 41 minutes. So I'm going slow, but I have completed more miles than percentage of the battery, which is something that I've never actually done on the Arcimoto FUV before. So that's pretty cool. At this rate, I believe I can travel the entire distance, 120 miles. I believe I can do it on one full battery without needing to charge at all, which honestly would be really impressive, and I would absolutely love it. I mean, the thing about the Arcimoto FUV, slow is better. So as long as I can maintain, I think I'm going about 20 miles an hour or so, or at least that's what I'm trying to maintain. I don't know how much longer I will be able to do that because I'm going to be on roads where the speed limit's 45 and 55 miles an hour. So it entirely depends on traffic. Now, obviously, right now it's 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday, so there is no traffic. There's nobody else on the road. I can pretty much go as slow or as fast as I want. As the sun comes up and people start to wake up and drive around, I don't know that I'll be able to continue to do that. But I'm gonna go like this as much as I can, and if I can make it up there without needing to charge, that will be the least amount of time for the total trip. So that is ideal. All right, it has been 1 hour. I have gone 20 miles, well 20 and a half, but we'll call it 20. Used 14% of the battery. So, doing well. All right, it has been 2 hours. So it is 6:50. I am at 66% state of charge on the battery, and I've gone 48 miles, 47.9. So, still looking like I'll be able to get there without charging. That is the goal at this point, which honestly is kind of crazy, but I've been going slow enough that I'm doing all right. Man, it really is turning into a beautiful day. The sun is coming up, and I mean, I can feel the air temperature getting warmer, which obviously is not something you could do in a car, or even like going through pockets of warmer or colder air, depending on if there's a body of water close by. You can't do that in a car, even with the windows down. I'm sorry, you can't do it. Maybe on a Jeep, where you can take the doors off and have somewhat of a similar experience to this. Certainly, you know, it's so much of a motorcycle in that way. It's awesome. I can't find any other words. It's just awesome. I love this thing. All right, 3 hours in, it is 7:50. I am down to 44% state of charge on the battery. I've gone 73.4 miles. So about 2/3 of the way there. And let's see, how many miles do we have left? 42 miles to go. So what is that, 115 miles or so? And if I keep going at this current pace, I'll easily have enough charge to make it there, unless something unexpected happens. I don't anticipate. But yeah, going strong. One thing that I didn't record is that I had stopped briefly at a gas station to grab food and drink and use the restroom, because there was no way that I am capable of making a trip that length without stopping and taking care of human needs. So that accounted for maybe 8 to 10 minutes or so of the total trip time. That's not something that I had recorded in any of the video that I had taken, so I did want to mention that now. This is so counterintuitive. I'm going to be able to go this 120 miles without charging at all, which it'll probably take me 4.5, maybe 5 hours. But if I were going faster, it would take me longer, because I would have to stop and charge, and because this doesn't have DC fast charging, charging is really slow. It takes a long time. You end up charging less miles per hour than driving. So like right now I'm doing 30 miles, 35 miles an hour driving. Recharging would take about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So by going slower, I'm actually going faster. Makes sense of that one. All right, it is 9:20. It's been 4.5 hours, and I am down to 9% on the battery after traveling 111 miles. So this is going way better than I anticipated when I started off, you know, earlier this morning. I am floored, honestly. Like, it's changing a little bit my perception of the Arcimoto FUV, in that a longer distance like this is possible without charging at all. Yes, you have to go slower. I mean, my first hour I was doing 20 miles an hour. Since then I picked up, I'm doing between 25 and 35 miles an hour overall. You know, I don't know what my total average time will be. I have 6.2 miles to go. So at 30 miles an hour, that's another 12 minutes. I'm stop and go in the city. I'm in Arlington now, so maybe it'll be a little bit longer. So let's call it 20 minutes. You know, at that point it would be just under 5 hours for 120 miles, which honestly in this is really good. in other vehicles, you know, it would be stupid to take that long to travel 120 miles, but in the Arcimoto FUV, when its EPA city range is 102 miles, I'm thrilled. Like, this is great. I have no problem with that. So we're gonna keep going, and then as soon as I get there, I will kind of finish things up and say goodbye. All right, I have arrived. It is 9:38, so I did that in 4 hours and 48 minutes, if I'm doing my math right. My brain is not working. Let's see, 5 hours would be at 9:50. Yeah, so 4 hours, 48 minutes. Honestly, that's pretty impressive. I did 118 miles, 118.3 if we're gonna be exact. That's pretty good. You know, a lot better than I was anticipating. Of course, I said that a few times on the trip up, and 2% battery left. So in theory, you could go another 2 miles, which would be 120 miles. I am actually really happy about that. Before I end the video, I want to share with you guys the graph that I made. Basically, along the way, I was recording what time it was, how many miles I had gone, and the state of charge of the battery. So what you can see here on the green line is the state of charge on the battery, of course, starting at 100% and ending at 2%. And the blue line is the miles driven. So, of course, starting on the left side at 0 miles driven to 118. It ended up being 118.3 miles driven. But, you know, for the sake of this, we'll just call it 118. But you can see every step of the way that I did capture data. About every half hour or so, averaged 24, almost 25 miles an hour for the entire trip. If you're going to make it in an Arcimoto FUV that distance, that's the speed that you're going to need to do it. Honestly, you could probably get a little bit more range in ideal conditions if you were going like 20 miles an hour. But of course, I was trying to get there as quickly as possible, not the longest distance. That is it for this. If you haven't already, hit like on the video, subscribe to the EV Resource YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.